Today I got a money tip for all y'all brokies. Guess what? Y'all talking crazy about ICE, right? Y'all talking crazy about Donald Trump, right? Guess what? ICE and Donald Trump need more ICE agents. So what they doing is, if you want to be an ICE agent, or whether you didn't or not, this might help you make your decision. ICE and Donald Trump is going to give you 50 bands to become an ICE agent.
Meantime, ICE is finding new ways to recruit more agents. There is now no age limit for Americans to become agents. Previously, applicants had to be at least 18 years old and no older than 37 or 40, depending on the position. But the Department of Homeland Security said today that it's removing those limits as it aims to expand hiring after a massive infusion of cash from Congress. Other incentives include $50,000 signing bonuses, student loan forgiveness, and better retirement benefits.
There ain't no age restriction, so you could be 97 or 12, and you can sign up to be an ICE agent. Check this out. They did a raid, where is it, Westlake, down like somewhere around downtown LA somewhere, and they was at the Home Depot rounding people up. Now, apparently, there's a federal injunction.
What we have to look at here is whether or not the ICE agents have violated the temporary restraining order. We know that a district court judge in Los Angeles said that ICE agents can't rely on what they've been relying on in order to give rise to a reasonable suspicion to detain people. What Judge Frimpong said in her temporary restraining order is that ICE agents cannot rely on 4 criteria, either alone or together. That is essentially ethnicity or the color of your skin, the language you're speaking, or whether or not you're speaking with an accent, where you are, and what you're doing. And so the question for us this morning is whether or not the ICE agents can come forward and say, I had additional evidence that the people who we detained were in fact breaking the law outside of the criteria that Judge Frimpong has said we cannot rely on.
But they did it anyway. And this is probably why they need more ICE agents, because they need to cover a lot of ground. But guess what else they did? ICE to mess around and hired a Penske truck to help them do scooping up. And they went and interviewed people from Penske. They would say, man, we didn't tell them they could do that.
And they grabbed whoever they could.
A statement from Penske Truck Rental to NBC4 today reads in part that it is aware of recent reports and videos regarding the Department of Homeland Security in Los Angeles. The statement goes on to say Penske strictly prohibits the transportation of people in the cargo area of its vehicles under any circumstances. The company was not made aware that its trucks would be used in today's operation and did not authorize this. Jorge Mario Cabrera with the Coalition of Humane Human Rights sharing his reaction.
We are reviewing the available tapes. We're speaking with family members of those that were detained. From what we can tell, it is very disturbing, the scenes in the way in which these officers simply descended upon the location and seemed to simply arrest everybody who was around them.
They over there throwing people in the back of the yellow box truck. And it said Penske all over the side. Man, Penske don't want to be associated with that, man. That's crazy. So, obviously, ICE, and being an ICE agent may not be such a bad job. Of course, you're probably going to get death threats, and you're probably going to have to wear a mask because, you know, it's the internet age, and they take your picture, and they can go and search your personal information and all that. So, so that's probably a little bit of a deterrent. But if you don't care nothing about that and you want that 50 bands, they giving out 50 bands. I'm tempted, but they're not gonna hire me because I got a little bit of a record. But now they said we don't care about your record or your age or anything like that. Man, sign me up. I'll be an ICE agent. I don't care. Give me 50 bands. Then I'm gonna go fall down at work and get workers' comp. No, but seriously though. They finna really put the pedal to the metal, right, on this deportation stuff. They probably slowed down because of that injunction, but I don't think they're gonna let that stop them because they was in Home Depot today, or was that yesterday? No, it was 2 hours ago. So they was in Home Depot today. doing everything they weren't supposed to do. And they got it all on tape in the Penske truck. Why they go over there to use the Penske truck? Getting Penske all up involved. Remember a few weeks ago they was at Dodger Stadium trying to use their parking lot. They said, man, get up out of here. But that's crazy. That's crazy. But you know, look, if y'all need a job, you know where to go. They giving out 50 bands. Where else you gonna go? And they didn't say nothing about no experience. But where else you gonna go with no experience, no job history, and become an ICE agent and get 50 bands? And let's say you was a doctor, a failed doctor, and you got, you know, $100,000, $200,000 worth of student loans, or just, you know, you just a failed college student, and or you wasn't a failed college student, but you really don't make, you know, all that much to pay for your student loans. Guess what? Become an ICE agent, they're gonna forgive that, and they're gonna put 50 bands in your pocket, and they're gonna pay you a nice salary. I don't know what they're paying, but I mean, if they're giving out 50 bands, you know, they might pay a little something, and then you get health care. They're increasing the health care. You might mess around and get the same health care Donald Trump get. I don't know. I mean, you know, they ain't go into details, but that's exactly what they're doing. And look, if you ain't got no job, you might want to think about it, because look, again, it used to be you had to be 18 years old, and I think the cutoff was 35. They said, F that. You can be whatever age. They said no age restriction. So that means no age restriction. So let's say that somebody 12, you know, let's say hire somebody that was 12. You know what a 12-year-old could do as an ICE agent? You could slip in. Ain't nobody gonna suspect you of being no agent or nothing. You could slide in with a wire and a camera and talk to them people and ask them, you know, because they got to figure out a way to not be racially profiling anybody. So if you go in there and send a little 12-year-old in there, and they talking to, you know, whatever in the language or whatever, you get them to say, yeah, I'm undocumented or I'm illegal or whatever, whoop, they raiding the place, because you didn't say it. They done got you to say that you undocumented. That's probably they gonna start. Here's my prediction: they gonna start treating illegal immigrants like dope dealers. Remember back in the day? I mean, I guess they still do it, but you know, back during the crack era, you know, they used to send informants in there, and they got CIs, confidential informants. They got all kinds of people who do nothing but that. They're making, you know, these illegal substance purchases and all of that, and they get it on camera, and then they bust you. I have a feeling that that's what they're gonna do with the immigration thing, because there ain't no other way. So if you say you can't use race, you can't use skin color, you can't use language, and you can't use area, what else is there? There ain't nothing else. So you gotta send some people, some undercover agents, and mingle in with the crowd and get people to admit that they're undocumented, and then they're gonna hit that, and they're gonna hit the area. So doesn't sound like a hard job. I don't know if I would do it, but that 50 bands is really attractive, right? So I don't know. You make the call, but hit this video right here somewhere. I forgot what it was, but you need to hit it. Dang, I do this every time. Just anyway, hit the video because you need to watch that. And till next time, take care.